Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of the Gaming Fuse podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Boom Boom Kaboom. It's Nukem in the room. How the hell is everybody on this fantastic Tuesday? We got a lot of topics to get into, and tonight we got the full panel. Glad to say that Coolcat Terri is in the building with us tonight, and we've got Mental 9R on standby. He's ready to go. So without any further ado, let's get our panel members in. We'll say hello to the chat, and then we'll rock the topics. So welcome back to the show, Mental 9R.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Wasn't sure I was going to make it tonight. Another week from hell for me when it comes to PC gaming and parts failing. So it was down to the wire here trying to get things working. So glad I did. And I'm up and running again. And I am here. So let's have a great time.
Yeah, we're glad he's here. Thought me and Coolcat Terri might have to just tag team this show, but it's even better when we can triple play it. But anyway, speaking of Coolcat Terri, she's back again this week. Glad to have her here, and here she is.
All right, hello everybody. I'm back, and I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm just ready to have a good show, so let's get it.
Let's
Alrighty.
go.
Jumping in, let's quickly catch up with the chat real quick because we got a lot of our regulars here ready to go. They're excited about the show. Obviously, Doggy Dog 420 is one of the first in the building as always, and he comes in hot and heavy with the first super chat of the evening. As I said, gang, super chats, they are certainly not expected, but definitely appreciated. He drops $1.99. Go ahead, Mental, you can take this one away.
Happy Tuesday. Much love. New panel and chat. Fist pump, heart, and cheers.
Thank you, Doggy Dog. You are a fantastic person. Thank you so much for all your support. Speaking of support, Darko's Dreamers also in the building tonight. Darko, we hope that you got your code from last week's show as you won a copy of Shadow the Tomb Raider, courtesy of another guy who's in the chat, Timothy Dixon. So I left that in your inbox and your DMs on Twitter. If you didn't get it, go check it out. So again, congrats to Darko's Dreamers from last week. Moving on down the line, we have got Tim May is in the building tonight. What's going on? We got our good friend Talos Ray. He's hanging out with us tonight as well. Talos, it's been too long. We got to play some games soon. Casket Repairs in the building. Draven Arrow in here as well. Good to see you, my friend. We got Mogsy welcoming back for the first time in a while. Good to see Mogs in the building. And I think we've caught up with everybody so far. And again, hit that like button, share this out, let people know we're alive and ready to go. Got some great conversations, some great topics. Let's start off with the Game Awards. I'm going to share the screen with everybody here so we can kind of go over this together. We won't take up too much time. Just a couple of quick thoughts about the award show itself. There's been a lot of controversy through the media lately that this award show is becoming more and more irrelevant every year, as statistics showed. I don't know where it was shown the other night there, but apparently it was only 18% of the show was dedicated to awards. This is an award show, but there's very little awards in it. And even some of the developers out there in the community complaining how a lot of speeches were cut short for important awards. Basically just giving plenty of stage time to good old, Hideo Kojima and all the movie gurus, which in itself is kind of nullifying the whole purpose of the Game Awards. And we'll talk about that in a sec. But Cyber Gunter, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you here. Let's share out the screen here, and we will bring this up. All right. Hopefully everybody can see it. As soon as here we go. There we go. So bringing this up, I'm just going to scroll down through, and we will kind of go over the categories here. And we'll kind of start from the bottom real quick, just kind of like any surprises kind of deal. We're not going to, just going to go from the bottom. We'll make our way back to the top real quick. All right. So coming in for a player's voice, the category is 100% voted on by fans for the favorite game of 2023. The winner is Baldur's Gate number 3. Best adaptation went to The Last of Us, that is celebrating game-inspired projects across entertainment, including TV, movies, comics, and more. Of those two, any surprises here, folks?
No.
Don't really care either way. Players' voice is always good. I mean, obviously, because it comes from the players itself. But Baldur's Gate may come as a shock. I mean, a lot of us kind of figured it was going to really come down to 3 games: Baldur's Gate, Spider-Man, and Legend of Zelda, right?
I'm actually, I would have been surprised that it wasn't Cyberpunk, because I don't remember who they nominated for the voices, but like Idris Elba, right. You would have thought some star power like him would have been the one that would take it, and it wasn't. So that's interesting.
Right. Most anticipated game came into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but the choices it was up against, I don't think were overly strong in this category, considering all the games coming out in 2024. It went up against Hades 2, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, and Tekken 8. Anybody shocked with that announcement as well?
No, I'm a little
No.
surprised that Hellblade's not on that list, but maybe that's just because I'm biased. I don't know.
Well, after the trailer we saw at the Game Awards, god dang, it should be on that list. Boy, that was impressive.
Oh,
We'll talk about
man.
that in a bit as well. We'll skip best esports crap. Nobody gives a crap in here. At least I don't think they do. Terry, you don't give a crap about esports, do you?
No, I mean it's
Right.
popular in certain parts of the world, but I feel like Americans tend to not to care.
That is true. Most of us, at
and
least
Canadians.
the people in, most of us in this podcast and in the chat, I really don't think care about it at all. Let's go up to best multiplayer game. Now, this might be a real surprise, and also no Call of Duty in here, which is kind of weird. But anyway, best of multiplayer goes to Baldur's Gate 3 up against Diablo 4, Party Animal, Street Fighter 6, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Any surprises there? I'm a little surprised. Like I said, the Call of Duty wasn't even nominated because Call of Duty every year is one of the most popular and fun multiplayer games.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about this list, to be honest. Yeah, how Call of Duty's not on there, I don't know. But maybe it's just because Call of Duty 3 wasn't well received. But, I mean, its numbers, it's doing great when it comes to the multiplayer aspect. I mean, I know multiple people that have switched to streaming it quite regularly because they love it. I don't know what else to say. They're loving the heck out of it. So I don't know. It's a little surprising, but Xbox tax.
Did it make the cutoff?
It should have, because it was out before Veterans Day or Remembrance Day up here, so I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I think it did.
I'm pretty sure it did. But either which way, I mean, the fact it was nominated is a bit weird. You can't deny. I mean, well, then again, mind you, not even Fortnite was on that list either for best multiplayer game, and that's pretty popular too. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird. But either which way, just moving down the line, let's go to Best Sim Strategy Game. The award went to Pikmin 4 up against Fire Emblem Engage, Company of Heroes, City Skylines, Advanced Wars. Who the hell knows in that category? Did anybody even play any of these games?
I have not.
So. Me either. So hard to say.
No.
It really sounds like it's majority of all those games. I think were just exclusive to like the Switch, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, let's move up to one that we certainly a little more of a popular, well-known category, and that is Best Sports Racing Game. Once again, I'll reiterate, they need their own sections for Best Racing and one for Best Sports Game. I mean, they're kind of related, I get it, but at the same time, there's enough racing games everywhere that should be nominated in its own category. EA Sports, FC24, F1 23, Forza Motorsport, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, and the Crew Motorfest. Now, this was a pretty hot category, which could have went in a few directions, but obviously Forza Motorsport must have impressed enough people to claim that award. What do you guys think of that one?
I prefer the Crew Motorfest myself. I just think it's the better game.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, I haven't played either, but I am surprised that Forza won, considering it didn't have the highest Metascore we've seen for a Forza game in quite some time. So it does surprise me a little bit that it won it.
Portal players says, why if there isn't enough racing games in a year for 5 nominees? Portal, you'd have to go back a long ways in history to find at least not 5 racing games that are worthy. Between kart racers, sim racers, there must have been at least 5 or 6. I mean, almost every year there's an F1 game, then there's a Forza or Forza Rise and a Gran Turismo, a bazillion kart racer games. There's definitely enough to fill like at least 5 entries, I think, on the average. And we're not talking, it just doesn't have to be Xbox or PlayStation. And sometimes there's some great racers that come out even on portables or phones, sometimes. So there's definitely lots of that.
There is.
I'm happy with Forza. I think this was the weakest entry in Forza for a long time, but it was still a great game, and I think very deserving of the award. Best family game. This one kind of really comes as no surprise. Again, sort of an all over the board. Disney Illusion Island, Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I'm pretty sure nobody's surprised and shocked that Wonder took this one out.
Not at all surprised.
No. Nintendo always wins family game. That's
Right.
a given. That's what they're good at.
That is true. And that one's a multiplayer. We got up to best fighting game was between God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6. I'm sure the probably at the end of the day it was really coming down between Mortal Kombat 1 and Street Fighter 6. Anybody played any of those, and any thoughts on that one?
No.
Not really. I'm not into the fighting genre so much, so not since my Sega Genesis in Mortal Kombat. Finish him. That was always good times.
All right. Let me just see here. So just checking out the stream, making sure we're all up on the screen here and everything's working okay. I think, yeah, so far so good. All right. Let's move it down. Like, trying to speed this one up. I just kind of want to talk about the game. Let's just get down and we'll let's just talk about. Well, I mean, maybe Terry wants to talk about best indie since she's really up on that. So, best indie game, Terry. Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, Viewfinder. Sea of Stars took home the winner on that one. How'd you feel about that?
For that particular category, Sea of Stars is, a fantastic game. I had mentioned it on Good Morning Xbox that they kind of have like a mixed match there. There's games on there that they're kind of like mid-tier, and there's way better indies that I've played that were more deserving to be on there. And then there was the one, Dredge. Technically, that's not an indie. So that shouldn't have been there at all. So yeah, that's kind of a messed up category.
Well, I mean, some of the big winners, obviously, of this year were Alan Wake 2. It took home 3 awards right back to back here, as you can see on the screen, for Best Art Direction, Best Narrative, Best Game Direction as well. So that's great for Alan Wake 2. It's a game I haven't yet to play, but it looks amazing. As you can see, Mental has it up on this background. I'm hearing nothing but great things about Alan Wake 2, and I can't wait to try it out. But, of course, the Game Awards always comes down to the big one. That is Game of the Year. It's the one that people talk about for a year or two later. It's bragging rights, kind of a deal. And our nominees this year were Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I don't think remake should necessarily be in this category. Shit on me if you disagree, but I think a remake, because it's already kind of been done, they could certainly give that to somebody else. They could have their best remake or remaster category, but Marvel Spider-Man 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and Alan Wake 2. Baldur's Gate 3 obviously coming away with this one. I think Baldur's Gate took home how many awards?
I think they had like 6 or something.
Yeah, it had quite a few awards.
Yeah.
I've seen the
Something
gameplay
like
of it, and I don't know. I've never played any of the series. I have zero interest in Baldur's Gate. So to those of you who like it, I guess you're quite happy with all the awards. For those of you who couldn't care less, and of course, the surprise announcement came up during the show, which almost got overlooked, was that they dropped Baldur's Gate on Xbox the day of the show. But the way things were going, it was. So I don't know. Any real surprises or anything stick out from you at the award show this year?
I'll say I'm a little surprised Spider-Man didn't get anything.
Yes, me too. Yes.
Personally, I don't think it was Game of the Year, so that didn't surprise me. I spent actually about 50 hours in the game, so I think I've got pretty good experience with it. For me, it was the bugs and the crashing that really turned me off on it. But beyond that, even, the story was okay. I didn't think it was anything outstanding. The game itself, I mean, half the game was rehashed from the previous one in terms of map and whatnot. I thought most of the side missions were filler that were a waste of time. But the main story was okay. But I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't get anything, just given the media reception that it had. It had a lot of high scores, a high meta. I would have thought it was going to win something. Personally, I wouldn't have given it anything. But, for once, hey, things went the way I would have done it. But I am surprised nonetheless.
Jerry, did anything really catch you, surprise you, or stick out for this award show?
Not particularly. I mean, I guess the biggest thing is that for the games that got nominations, it seemed pretty well rounded for the categories. Like normally it's, usually like very one-sided and overly biased. This was like the first year in a long time I felt like they generally were trying to give everybody, equal representation for, those that were deserving to be in those categories. There were some that were definitely messed up, but overall, I think they did a pretty good job. So I'm pretty pleased with it. And I still say Evil West got snubbed. They didn't get a single nomination. That game was phenomenal. And it's just, they kind of got screwed because they didn't make the cutoff last year, and everybody had forgot about them for this one. So like they got screwed. They should have been there. Definitely should have been in the indie category at the very least. But that's, I guess, don't release your game right before the Game Awards. So you get, you gotta make that cutoff line, man.
Indeed. Me personally, just, the highlight for me of the whole award show was the Sega announcement. That Sega is back. If you guys missed it, Sega is bringing out some of their beloved franchises back in a big way, including Jet Set Radio. They're bringing back Shinobi. They're bringing back Crazy Taxi. They're bringing back Golden Axe, and they're also bringing back another Streets of Rage. And they showed glimpses of all the games, and they look fantastic. I was a little disappointed that Shinobi is kind of a 2D side scroller, drawn art style kind of thing. I was hoping more for a, like a third person action in more in the vein of a Ninja Gaiden style of game, but apparently not. But yeah, regardless, I'm sure, exactly, Timothy Dixon. It's about time. I mean, I think that was an awesome announcement. It shows that Sega is, is listening and trying to bring back some of their beloved IP. And I think a lot of people that I saw around the industry and including on social media were super excited for that announcement. There's a lot of Sega love and a lot of Sega fans out there, including myself, who grew up as a Sega guy first and foremost. So that was pretty freaking amazing. Of course, I think the big surprise in the Xbox side, I mean, it was great, first of all, to see Hellblade, an actual, action, and it looks absolutely incredible. And anybody who says otherwise has got fucking shit in their eyes, pardon my pun, but or pardon my language here. But that game looks absolutely dynamite. And of course, the announcement of Blade. We've all said, how is Xbox going to react with Sony, getting Spider-Man and now Wolverine? Well, they're coming back with one of their own, and it looks like it would be Xbox platform specific that we know of at this time. So it'll be on Xbox platforms, which means it won't be on PlayStation or Switch. I think that's a good get for them, and it just depends on how Arcane delivers. There's going to be a lot of pressure for them to have an amazing game. It is coming from Arcane Leon, which is the team behind what was it called, Death Proof? Was it Death Proof? Is that the one? Death Proof, I think that's the
Loop.
one.
Oh,
Death Loop.
Death Proof was a movie.
It was a movie.
yeah, Death Loop. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Portal says, do you think the Sega games are full price or smaller? I think a couple of them may be full price, but you look at Shinobi and perhaps Streets of Rage. I think the majority of those games, from just the graphic art style, they look like they're smaller scale projects using a big name. So probably not, they're not probably heavy on super, they're not $200 million games that they're making there. Most of them look like they're, just better than what they've done. So yeah, like Iceman says, probably $30 to $40 for the majority of those Sega games. I think they're trying to test the market to see what kind of demand they have without, blowing the budgets wide open. And it's easier, I think, for Sega to come in with a game that costs them, 1/3 the budget and sells well, than go out and take an IP and then it flops and they're $150 million in the hole. So I think either which way, as long as they're good games, nobody really cares what their budget is or if they're big AAA. We saw that with Streets of Rage 4 like 2 years ago. It was an amazing game. They did a great job with that, and I think it got people going, we want some more of that, so bring it. How'd you guys feel about the Sega announcement? Any other Sega kids on this panel?
Not particularly. I mean, I had a Genesis, but like I'm not that big when it comes to Sega. I'm actually kind of more curious what the unannounced games were, because that trailer said "and more." So which ones are they being hush hush about?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Curious as to what else there might be out there, but never played any of those games. So.
Brand new Mega Man. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. What about the Blade announcement? I mean, if you can't say much about Sega, I mean, did Blade move the needle to the envelope for you at all? Or does it
did,
depend on the
yeah.
studio? Because I mean, for me, like I don't know, like what I'm guessing it's going to be a third person action adventure style game.
Yeah, that's what we hear anyway. It's supposed to be third person, and I mean, I'm a big fan of Dishonored, and
Mm-hmm.
these are the same guys. I was a big fan of both those games. Actually, all three of them I've played. Dishonored 1, 2, and I forget what the third one was called, but I enjoyed all
Mm-hmm.
three of them to death. And I quite enjoyed Deathloop, but I'll be honest, I never finished it. It was kind of a weird game. I had a lot of fun while I was playing, but it didn't have that hook to pull me back, so I'd often leave it for a few weeks before
Mm-hmm.
I'd jump back in and play for 4 or 5 hours, and then I'd spend the first 2 hours figuring out what it was I was working on and what I needed to do. So it was kind of a strange game. I always had fun while I was playing, but it just didn't pull me back in to play more. It's not like I couldn't wait to play it, so to speak. So yeah, it's kind of a strange one in that regard, but I'm definitely a fan of that studio, so I'm optimistic they're gonna put out a really good game.
Indeed. There's Cheddars.
It's actually Biscuit today.
Oh, that's Biscuit today.
It's
Okay.
Biscuit today, yeah.
I can only see the orange and white. There you go. Like I said, man, there's some really cool announcements at the show. I mean, everything else is status quo, but we've heard the complaints now, right? And again, these are also complaints not just coming from the audience that watches like ourselves, but they're coming from the industry now, where they're saying like Jeff Keighley's got to reel it back in. I mean, it's great to have the world premieres, and we all watch them for essentially to see new games, and that's fantastic. But when the whole show 18% was dedicated to awards, which is essentially what it's all about, and you see, like I said, time and time again, they cut off the people's speeches. They got 30 seconds to say anything, which is terrible, especially in some of the categories. I mean, who cares? I mean, in some of the lesser categories. I mean, even then, but like when you're in the big categories, people shouldn't be getting cut off. I mean, heck, I think they're trying to rush Sam Lake off the stage, crying out loud. So, like again, like he's making lots of time for the Hollywood people. Again,
Mhm.
why is Kojima's up there again? Like they've done this show 10 years, and what he's been on the show stage, what, about 8 of those 10 times? Like, come on, man. Like, we get it that you like Kojima, but enough of the fucking ass kissing. I'm sorry, that's brutal. Like, we like the guy, sure, he makes some cool stuff, but enough of the Kojima ass kissing. Like, my God, man. Like the whole industry can see it at this point. It's like, dude,
Yeah, it's getting a little
He's
ridiculous, isn't it?
probably an investor. I mean, he literally said on the stage that he's been a big supporter since the first show. So, supporter as in financially, is he paying for the show? That's why he's there.
I mean, this OD game or whatever.
OD.
A movie / game. What is it using? MetaHuman or some shit like that. And it's using a whole bunch of different
it's
tech.
impressive.
So.
At least the facial animations, faces in general, they look very realistic.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Kojima game, man. It's hard to say what it'll be. Like,
it's
Death Stranding was pretty weird, and this probably will be very weird.
It will make zero sense, but people will love it anyway. So what was that game about? No clue. What was the point of what you did?
And he brought in Jordan Peele. I mean, so yeah, you got a little bit of clout in terms of bringing in a certain developer who's certainly up and coming, or I should say up and coming, but Jordan Peele has had some pretty good films over the last couple of years and certainly made a name for himself. So he got a little bit of clout there. That's that's the next thing. RWK. I mean, what are we going to see? A big Jeff Keighley gangbang up on the stage? Because that's about the only thing he hasn't done is dropped his pants down and give him the old cock and balls, right?
I mean, Jordan seemed pretty pumped about the whole thing. What did he say at the end there? Like, expect something great or whatever? I can't remember exactly what he said, paraphrasing, of course, but he seems pretty optimistic. So I don't know how long it's going to be, but
cool game announcement. But now are you going to see what he's going to be up on the stage to show us a glimpse for the next 3 or 4 years till the game is actually out? It's obviously backed by Xbox as well, so Xbox has got a bit of a play into this. They're obviously financing or backing this project somewhere along the line. So Well, I think Kojima knows how to speak English. I don't think he's
Yeah.
comfortable speaking English because it seems like he's understanding stuff. It just
Yeah.
perhaps he just feels he might sound stupid. So being that he's Kojima, maybe they feel it's just safer for him to have a translator, right?
Yeah. I know a lot of guys around the world that are, they're quite fluent in English, but they don't have confidence to speak it
Right.
on a stage like that. One-on-one, no problem, but get them up doing a presentation or something and the confidence level plummets. So
Yeah.
I can understand that, I think.
Because he definitely understood all the questions he was given.
For sure.
That wasn't translated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Actually, Cyber Gunter actually gave me a great idea probably for next season, as I'll do the Handy Andy Game Awards. We'll do his own categories. That would be hilarious. I like that Cyber Gunter. I'm going to do that next year. Handy Andy's going to have his own personal game award. I think that'd be fantastic.
That could be pretty funny.
Yes, we will have to come up with some categories, and Handy Andy will pick them. Even if he hasn't even played the game, he'll have something to say about all of them. Trust me. All right, that's awesome.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. All I can say, like I said, I'll say it before. I'll say it again. I do applaud Keeley for doing what he's doing, is bringing the all eyes on to the products and to the industry. But he has to remember that again. And as someone said too, with all the layoffs and everything the industry's gone through in the last couple of years, to kind of almost smack them in the face a little bit. We should be applauding the devs that are still working and applauding all their works, and not just kind of like, hey, well, this is a game show, but it's really wanting to be a movie show. No, the Games Award needs to be its own identity. It's great to have a guy come out once in a while. We saw Matthew McConaughey come out to talk about his role in the game, just to add some star clout. He does that every year. Of course. So what do you guys think about the joke or the shot across the bow from Mr. Christopher Judge there on Call of Duty? I found it hilarious, and I took no personal attack to it because technically he was kind of right. It is one of their shortest campaigns ever. Honestly, I have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and it honestly feels like fucking DLC. I'm sorry, but this is not to me. It doesn't feel like an official sequel after the last two games. But at the shot across the bow, how did you guys feel about that? Some of the devs apparently a little bit up in knots on this one.
Go ahead,
it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. It's like, I feel like he's being playful. He wasn't intending to be like offensive. He was just cracking a joke. It's just humor. It's calm down. If you're offended by it, then do better next time.
Yeah, such a harmless joke. I mean, and in itself, he's making a joke of his own self, right? With the fact that he took almost 8 minutes on his speech. So, like, give the man a break. Seriously, guys, have a laugh. It's just gaming, right? I like that. Then he goes, yeah, another company I won't be working for.
He's not wrong. He's probably not wrong. It's I personally, I thought it was funny too. I mean, I laughed. I thought, oh, that was a good one. But at the same time, it's probably not the smartest joke to make at that moment in time. Like when you're up there with your, quote, peers up on stage with an audience of millions, probably not the smartest thing to do in terms of, potentially burning a bridge, taking a shot at one of the biggest publishers. Now, combined with Xbox, et cetera, maybe not a smart thing to do. It's different when you're like, an actual comedian. There's no limits. You go after whoever because it's your job. He's not a comedian, so it's a bit risky. But I thought it was funny.
Yeah, but Christopher Judge strikes me as a very passionate actor that really gets into his roles and his projects. And I mean, this will be his biggest. Possibly one of the biggest roles he's played in his career, which is funny because he's not the face of Kratos, he's the voice, right? But I mean, people will know him for that. I mean, I remember when he first came on the Stargate, right? That was the first time I got acquainted with the man. So, I think it was, like I said, it was a funny joke. Certainly didn't bother me to the least. Like I said, because there was a little bit of truth to it, and he's taking a crack at himself. Some people got offended about it. I think, there's nothing to really bother, but you know what? I just laugh it off. And you know what? If anything else, he's challenged COD makers that, hey guys, maybe next time, put in the work, make a longer campaign, or hold off your game until you have a campaign that's maybe a little more original and it's longer. I don't know.
Yeah, like, he's not wrong. Ultimately, it was, I haven't played it. I've heard, I think Meg was saying on on their show last night that he's loving it and enjoyed it, but he still thought the joke was funny, right? Like, you got to have thick skin in this world these days, and people get upset about a lot of stuff, and if we can't make fun of ourselves, then hey, what are you doing, right? Yeah. What are you doing? But
it actually surprises me with the amount of money Call of Duty, the amount of money that Call of Duty rakes in. You would think that they would do more big celebrities in their games.
That's true.
You would think.
Well, you know what? Call of Duty better get used to it, because now that they are owned or a subsidiary now of the Xbox brand, I can tell you there are going to be a lot more shots across their bow over the next couple of years. Every little mistake they make and everything that they do is going to be triple magnified because they have an Xbox brand.
Xbox tax.
Don't believe me? You watch. Call of Duty is going to get slammed more than ever before. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference if the numbers are good and people continue to play the game. At the end of the day, Xbox is going to count their money. Activision is going to count their money. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. And I don't see any signs of Call of Duty slowing down. But, it will take shots because they are under the Xbox brand. Well, Call of Duty was never good, but now it's even worse because under Xbox, right?
It's going to be. I just think they'll be held accountable for every last detail of the game. Where they may have got a pass before on some of those things. That's my take on the Xbox tax. When we talked about that a couple of weeks back, it's that it's not that reviewers go into games thinking, oh, geez, this is an Xbox game, I'm going to rate it, but then I'm going to deduct 10. It doesn't work like that. I just think they're held accountable for every last thing. They don't get any mulligans, and Activision should just be aware of that.
Speaking of that, I mean, here's a perfect example, right? Like, Starfield's been out for a couple of months. It is what it is. It didn't win a Game of the Year. I don't even know, did it even get nominated? It might have got nominated for one award or whatever. But anyway, Starfield, it is what it is, right? It's out. People play it. People that have been playing it love it. Some people that didn't play it or played it briefly kind of I played it and I have it. The second most played game apparently of 2023. So obviously I saw something in the game that I liked. But here they are several months later writing articles. Oh, but the fan base dropping off on Starfield. Oh, this game is in trouble. But where was all that when I don't recall any of that shit happening when the player base dropped off of God of War Ragnarok after a couple of weeks. Exactly. Finished the campaign. Nobody gave a shit. People finished the game and moved on to something else. But where was all the articles about Ragnarok? Oh, nobody's playing it anymore.
I'd have to bet the Spider-Man population's dropped off a lot too, right? I mean, I haven't touched it since I beat the game a month ago or whenever it was.
I'm playing it right now, and I got a bunch of friends on my PlayStation, and nobody's playing it but me right now.
Yeah, when I was playing it, 50 friends, one other guy was playing it. That was it out of my 50 friends. But they're 90%. The funny thing with my PlayStation friends. Yeah, my PlayStation friends all play multiplats, generally speaking. Right now, they're all playing COD.
Yeah,
so go figure, right? Before that, it was Battlefield and Destiny.
Yeah, that's kind of like the curse of the single player game. Is they sell very well, but no one, once people get through them, that they move on.
Yeah, they'll get a bit of a surge when there's a DLC again.
Yeah,
some kind of a major update with a DLC. And then you'll see a bit of a surge in the game again, more than likely.
Half the player base won't even finish it.
Oh,
that's the other sad thing is, when it comes to single player games, most players never finish them.
Yeah, and it's true for just about every game, every platform too. If you go look at the completion stats, it's rarely 50%. I don't even know if I've ever seen one at 50%, right? Yep. I mean, that's something that people love to point out about Starfield. I think it's only 76% of the people that have played it got the first achievement, right? Something like that. So, I mean, it's That doesn't take long to get either, from what I recollect.
Absolutely. Anyway, guys, the Game Awards are in the book for another year. Pretty much, very predictable, paint by numbers kind of a show. There was some highlight. It wasn't a terrible show. It was an amazing show. Like I said, I think for me personally, the Sega announcement, the Blade announcement, seeing Hellblade, live in the flesh, like a real, action part of Hellblade, was amazing. And there was a few other bright spots, but that was my highlights of the show. And congratulations to Baldur's Gate. Not a game that I care to play. I wouldn't. It's a what did you call it? A turn-based or a strategy, whatever. What did you call it? But it's not my kind of not my kind of game. So
yeah, right there with you. Maybe if it comes into Game Pass, I'll give it a try.
Yeah. But anyway, let's real quickly. We're going to talk about this other one, and this is this is a common trend right now in the gaming industry of studios closing and shutting down. This one might not be a big ordeal. I did hear the game had had a little bit of hype behind it when it was announced. Kind of a DayZ style of a knockoff game, I guess you could say, but it looked really cool. It had some cool graphics. I remember when it was announced a few years back. But anyway, today we announced the closure of the Fntastic studio. Unfortunately, the day before has failed financially, and we lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay off debts to our partner. We invested our efforts, resources, and man hours into development of the day before, which was our first huge game. We really wanted to release new patches to reveal the full potential of the game, but unfortunately, we don't have the funding to continue the work. It's important to note that we didn't take any money from the public during the development of the day before. There were no pre-orders or crowdfunding campaigns. We worked tirelessly 5 years, pouring our blood, sweat, and tears into the game. At the moment, the future of the day before and prop night is unknown, but the servers will remain operational. We apologize. We didn't meet our expectations. We did everything within our power, but unfortunately, we miscalculated our capabilities. Creating games is an incredibly challenging endeavor. We're grateful to everyone who supported us during these difficult times. It's been a fantastic journey over the past 8 years. Fantastic. There you go. A letter from another developer that's going down. And if you saw the review, I think from IGN, they gave it a 1. So this game obviously was in development for 5 years, it sounds like, and it came out an absolute mess. Do you think what do you think might be circumstances behind this? Do you think as a part of the COVID experience? Do you think they went over budget, miscalculated a few things, or found out perhaps that they're in a very crowded space and without the proper marketing stuff, this game just wasn't going to go anywhere?
I find it a little bit bizarre. Like, apparently the game's mostly an asset flip. Like, generally speaking, everything that's in it was just purchased off the Unreal Engine store as far as assets go. So I don't know. I've heard that it's potentially a cash grab, right? Because they did charge $40 for the game. It was in preview on Steam for a long time.
Right.
And so when they say they didn't take any money from the public, I think that's not really true, because they sold whatever early access versions of it for quite some time. So yeah, it's a tough one to understand how you release the game and then shut down the next day, unless it is some sort of a scam or cash grab or something. They sold a lot, from what I understand. I don't know the exact numbers. I've heard that they were pretty good. I mean, there's 19,000 reviews, I think, on Steam. I don't know. I mean, vast majority of the people I know never have done a review on Steam ever. And, to get 19,000, you've probably sold, I don't know, 10 or 20 times that at least in games, I would guess. Because it's, what is it? Maybe 10% or 5% of people will actually take the time to do a review. I think it's a little bit odd. I don't know. When it's an asset flip like that, like you're not developing. One of the biggest time sucks in development is building your assets. So it's all that artwork and development time that goes into that. The actual code isn't the big piece. At least I don't think it is. I could be wrong. I've never developed a modern game. The last games I wrote were a very long time ago. It's a very different world back then, but
Yeah,
The
Games
code
Radar
itself
announced
isn't.
that Fntastic confirmed the development ceased on the day before, just 4 days after its launch into early access. Steam has since stopped allowing anybody to purchase the game, although the review for the day before remains, giving you some insight into the state of the extraction shooter was at release. So
So when did it go into early release? That
it's a
would be
great
my
question.
question. Because to halt development 4 days later, it feels like a cash grab to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what their debt load is like, but I mean, all that should come out like if they're closing the doors, like actually saying they're bankrupt, then there's going to be court documents that will reveal everything, right?
Hmm.
As soon as you go into receivership, that's all that stuff goes public.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say if they're just closing the doors, paying some debt, and walking away with some bank. That's a different story.
Well, speaking of a great developer that did get closed down now is the team behind Time Shift, Free Radical. They were bought out by
Time shift.
Time Shift.
The old
They were brought out by Free Radicals. A lot of the guys I think from the original GoldenEye teams and stuff. I think, and they went on to make that game Time Shift and the sequels to it.
that's
They
the
just
old Xbox 360, wasn't that out? Time
it was
shift, is
on the
that the
original
one?
Xbox, and then yeah, and then it was on
Is that the time shift I'm thinking of?
time,
Because
time Shift. Yeah.
I really liked that game.
Let me just see here.
Maybe I'm in
Free
the minority. I don't know,
Radical
but I
games.
really enjoyed that game.
Yeah,
I,
let's see. Tencent, I think, was the one that had them, and apparently we're supposed to be working on another one. Free Radical is a British video game developer based in Nottingham, founded by David Doak, Steve Earls. Yeah, Time Splitters. Sorry, Time Splitters. That's the one. I said
okay,
Time Shift. Time Splitters. And
okay,
the
yeah,
last I
that
knew,
one.
they were supposed to be trying to make a new Time Splitters, but they got just shut down. Financial difficulties and closure. There you go. So crazy stuff. Yeah, they made their last game. They made Haze, which was published by Ubisoft. Time Splitters Future Perfect, Second Sight, Time Splitters 2, and Time Splitters. They helped also work on Crisis, the Crisis Port, Crisis 3, Warface. Yeah, some of their canceled games, Star Wars Battlefront 3, see Time Splitters 4 was supposed to come out. That's
Hmm.
crazy. So what do you think is going on? Like lately, we're starting to see a massive amount of developers, both big and small, kind of closing their doors. Terry, what's your insight to some of this stuff? What's going on? Do you think overall is it because the games are making just ultimately don't sell? Is it lack of marketing? Like, do you think this is largely a responsibility of the teams or more so the publishers?
I don't know. I think it's going to be different from each studio. You can't kind of lump it all together. Some of them could just be very poor decision making when it comes to because everything has to be on a timeline. And if you make a bad decision on one place, you're going to back everybody else up, and it just becomes a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're mismanaging, their marketing, then that screws everybody else up getting things, on time. Or if they're mismanaging, anything with their budget, it's going to it can really go south very quickly. So it's hard to say. I mean, and looking at what they've had, they were churning out games like they were spending maybe 2 years in development on their games.
Yeah.
So they weren't exactly, you could unless you have a huge team, with like Call of Duty or whoever the team is that makes
Mm-hmm.
Maddens in them, to where you can churn them out that quick. You're not going to get the best quality, for a small studio churning out a game every 2 years. So like I'd never even heard of them before. I don't know who they are.
Which team? The
Fnatic.
Fnatic.
So I don't know anything about them. Time Splitters, like, it's so old. Like I didn't even know they made one after the first one. Like you said they were supposed to have the fourth one. I didn't even know there was a 2 or a 3.
Well, I remember the original game came out. It was on like the GameCube, Xbox at the time, and it was quite a popular game. Like I said, it.
Yeah, I remember Times. I remember that one.
Yeah, I think some of the developers might have been part of other teams that worked on popular shooters, if my memory recalls correctly. I
Yeah.
think some of them came over from the GoldenEye or the Perfect Dark crowd or whatever
Yes,
it
it
was.
sounds like they're just kind of what's the word I want? Like they're free agents. They're like go help here, go help there. Everyone's kind of all over the place. So I don't know. It just
like
seems off.
Like I don't know, like with all these developers now. First of all, let's give a shout out to the chat because we got some amazing people in the chat right now, including the amazing Lemon, aka 108 Dragons TV, is in the building. Timate hanging out with us as well. Talos Ray is here. Good to see you. Talos Portal players in the building. John 907 hanging out. Iceman LMH is here. We got Axel 1324, aka Iconic Video Games Podcast, is in the building. What's going on, Axel? Good to see you, my friend. We've got Crispy Bomb was here for a little while. I think he's since bounced out, but good to see you. Cyber Gunter is in the building. Lots of amazing people, guys. Thank you so much for your love and support. Greatly appreciated, and we hope that you're enjoying the show so far. General Spartan, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you here. We had Royal Boyle here as well. Good to see him in the building. I don't know, like I guess I really love to see how a lot of these games get evaluated these days. Like do they have everybody has a target, right? And every developer I'm sure wants to make a great game and they want it to be successful, but like who calls it when you're pulling the plug? I mean, how do they reevaluate when to pull the plug, or how do you shut down a dev? Is it largely because like there's some developers out there who seem like they could make 20 games that flop and still the doors are open, and there's other guys that seem like they got a very short rope? And I've said this time and time again that I think part of the problem overall is just an industry problem. It's not a developer issue. It's the fact that there's so many games out there vying for your time and money, and we're seeing that creativity from the big studios is getting less and less because they're afraid to develop a game to go with a new IP or to try something new, afraid it does fail, and then they have to start reevaluating. And then you see the indie teams taking chances, but then always don't get the love and support they deserve because they get shuffled off. So I think it's part of an industry where there's a lot of games and there's only so much time and money to go around. But I mean, like a lot of these guys, like how do you reevaluate who shuts them down? Is it largely an issue from the developer side, or do you think it's a publisher side? Where the publisher is giving you, say, an infinite amount of money to go build a certain game, but then your game kind of just fails to live up to certain expectations. Let's use Redfall, right? That had a huge amount of hype, had a huge amount of expectation, and fell way short of the mark. They stayed with it. They brought out the patch to get it to 60 frames. The game is okay, but I mean, considering its timeline of its release, that was dreadful. Like, you think a studio like that would have fell under the wayside if it wasn't for the fact now they're under a Microsoft umbrella?
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, a lot of smaller studios that don't have that type of financial backing, that could be the death knell, right? Because development costs are very real. And, it's not like they went out to the Unreal store and bought a bunch of assets, right?
Yeah.
It's a very different situation than what we talked about previously. I think you're right. It's a curse of the times we're in. There are so many games out there that are released on a regular basis. Like if you look up 2023 game releases in Google, it's mind-blowing how many games are coming out every month that I've never heard of. Have no idea what they are, no clue. They all fly under the radar because we're all looking for those great big ones that show up once in a while, right? And yeah, when you've got a game that, quote, underperforms, it's the death knell for a lot of companies nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a near perfect game too, like graphically, sound wise. You have the full investment going, and the game just doesn't resonate. I don't know, like what would be a perfect example of something like that, where it had everything going for it, but just for some reason wasn't a huge success. I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head.
What's that? Remember that game that was shown early on with the Series X, Bright Infinite or something? I think it was called.
Yeah, Bright Memory Infinite. Yeah,
Bright Memory. Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
that
one was
looked amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it looked really, really good. And what happened to it? Did it release? I don't know.
Yeah, it did. It did come out. Yeah,
it did. Okay. So
Obviously,
there you go. I mean,
that tells you that the marketing was not good for that game. Built by one guy too.
Yeah. And, it looked impressive graphically to start with. And, it's one of those ones that just kind of disappeared. Now, he got a lot of attention too because it was on the Microsoft stage or tied to the Xbox on, right at the beginning. And who knows what happened to it.
Yeah, well, there's a one game out right now. It's already selling at a discount of like $8 or something on the Xbox store. I heard it's nothing but good things about it. I think it's called Immortals of Avum. I think that's the game. And it looks really cool. Jago Kukin, shout out to Jago. He's been talking about it nonstop when it came out. Said like this game deserves a lot more support than it's been getting. And I don't know if any of you guys have played it on the panel, but I think Iceman has been playing it. He's in the chat. He says a good game, but too short. But there is a perfect example of a game that has the the AAA visual. It looks stunning. It looks like it's like a kind of a shooter slash. What are you using like powers and shit? But the game itself is just like I said, it's short, and didn't get a whole lot of love and certainly a whole lot of marketing support, right? I don't know. Can you tell me, Iceman, in the chat, who publishes that game? Who's the publisher behind it? That would be good to know because I know it's not from any of the big companies. I don't think. Alan Wake 2 is not even in the top 10 played games. See, there's another game that's getting great reviews. Should be getting lots of talk and lots of buzz, but I see very few people playing Alan Wake 2, right? Even the other one, Quantum Break, was a lot like that on the Xbox. Had huge marketing budget behind it, had a lot of hype, had some great actors. They did the show mixed with the game. And for whatever reason, it certainly didn't do gangbuster numbers, and
Quantum Break,
Quantum
Break, I like. To me, that was one of the most underrated games of last gen. And sorry to cut you off, Noof, but my thought on that is it underperformed in terms of sales because it was initially an Xbox exclusive, and there just wasn't a lot of Xbox Ones out there at the time. So if you even only have an attach rate of, an awesome attach rate's around 10%. If you've only got 10 million consoles out there, that's 1 million sales, right? Yeah. It's not going to do really, really well. I mean, that's the same issue that, what was it, Final Fantasy there that was exclusive PlayStation, right? Once again, our friends there weren't happy with the results on sales, right? It underperformed. But you isolated it to a single console and didn't include PC, didn't include Xbox, all the major platforms, and your attach rate's not going to be huge on a game like that. So yeah, it underperformed.
It's funny how success, though, can be viewed extremely different from one publisher to another publisher. Because I remember, I think it was when Call of Duty Infinite Warfare came out, they announced it was its lowest selling Call of Duty game in the history of the franchise. I think it still went on to sell something like 10 million copies or something stupidly gangbuster. And you're like, and they're complaining because it only sold 10 million. But I guess in their grand scheme of things, most of these games could sell 10 million in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So there's that, right? So it's kind of crazy how all that works. But all I can say for all the publishers out there is, or certainly not so much the publishers, but for the game devs, man, my heart goes out to you. A lot of you guys, you worked your way through the COVID years, worked at home, went through a lot of trials and errors, had to try to build these games. And now that the smoke is settling and the game sales are starting to drop a little bit because people are getting outside again. People are getting back to normal. We're not all hovered in front of our consoles. Now all of a sudden, sales are starting to go down. And once again, the industry still has to constantly compete about the Fortnites, the Call of Duties, the Maddens, the FIFAs, the fucking same shit that's made year in and year out. And this is what they got to compete against. And I said, our industry is walking a fine line because nobody wants to risk investments anymore. Because if the games don't come out and have extremely good reviews and are built on some sort of hype, you see what happens. One of the best games of the year that came out that was totally forgotten about as well at the Game Awards, we forgot to mention, was Hogwarts. How did that game not get any love at the Game Awards? It was one of the best games of last year.
Yeah.
And basically was forgotten about. I think it was a crying shame. It's almost criminal.
I got,
you're
I think
nominating
90.
Resident Evil 4, but you're not nominating Hogwarts. Tell me how that works, right?
Well, that was political. I
Yeah.
got around 90 hours in Hogwarts. I thought
Yeah.
it was a great game.
They probably didn't want to deal with backlash because of what happened when the game came out. They didn't want to stir that up again.
Yep. Guaranteed.
Terrible.
I mean, you gotta wonder though, because it clearly didn't hurt the game. Sold like gangbusters, and I just think it's sad because the game had no association to the individual, right? And ultimately, you're just punishing the devs that work their asses off to build a great game, and I think that's wrong.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'll say this as well, that all of the majority out there have got to stop catering to the minority. It's that small vocal minority crowd that kicks up a stink. Well, I'm sorry, you small minority. We are going to rebel against you one of these days. We're going to pack you up onto a fucking crater boat. We're going to send you to a deserted friggin' island so you can bitch and complain about that. Huh? I'm telling you. Off with your heads.
Yeah. It's a strange world we live in that, politics gets into everything, and it's a sad day when it gets into gaming,
and everything.
I guess.
Everything
But,
is taken out of contents, and people roll with every little thing now. Everybody's got a cause, and everybody's got a mission, and everybody got to cancel somebody every time they say something they don't like. Well, I'm sorry, we're about to cancel the rest of you. Portal says, the problem with the damn games is taking 4 to 6 years to make now. It's too risky in time. Well, I definitely agree. The games are taking extremely long to make. They are very risky. And that's why only the biggest of publishers now can get behind some of the projects. I mean, we know that, look, Grand Theft Auto 6 could come out and be an absolute dog shit show, but it's still going to sell. Game could come out and be absolute shit. And it's going to sell more copies in day one than almost any other game the entire year, right?
Yeah.
Combined. And it's almost a sad state of affairs when it's like that. Because even those developers know, like, well, I trust in Rockstar. It's taken a long time for a reason. I'm sure that Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably going to be absolutely nuts in every which way under the sun. But I'm just saying that if you want it to be kind of let's kind of cut corners kind of dev, you could definitely get away with it with those things because no one's going to care. They're just going to buy it because of the name that's on the box. Not every other developer or publisher has the luxury of that same thing that Rockstar does. And that's why they get away with what they're doing, because why did it take 10 freaking years to build another game? They used to publish a shit ton of games, and all of a sudden they dried up because one game just makes them gangbusters, right? Crazy. Oh, man. But anyway, yeah, it'd be great to figure out how to produce a game in 2 to 3 years. I mean, you know what? Some studios are doing it. Insomniac is obviously doing a pretty good job of pumping out games. Now, maybe that's at the luxury of the fact that they have a game engine they're familiar with, and they haven't had to change it too much. Not to mention, I mean, most of their games in the last couple of years have been Spider-Mans, which have basically been in the same setting. They just got to re-render it and add some shit. It's a lot easier to kind of have a game that's almost essentially pre-built. I think of it like the sports games, right? Everything's already there. They just got to tweak it and add stuff and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, New Victorious, what's going on, brother?
The size of the studios, because like if someone like Rockstar, they'll churn out one game every like 20 years, but then you'll have like not THQ, excuse me. Dang it, I forgot it. No. Man. Oh, I lost it. There's this one studio. They churn out all kinds of. I'll come back to me, but I'll use Ubisoft instead.
Supermassive Games?
No.
Supermassive was put out all those Man of Medan stuff. They put out like about 7 games now.
Hold on. Focus. So like Focus, they churn out games, okay? And they're good games. They have so many projects going on that they're able to make sure they have several games every year coming out. So there's like no dry spells for them, and that's fantastic. But then you'll have like your big studios like Rockstar or Naughty Dog or any of those kind of studios where they they don't churn games out. You're literally just waiting for one game, So it's like, and people notice it
Yeah.
when they're waiting for one game versus if you're churning out a whole bunch of different IPs. And the great thing about Focus is they're always making new IPs, and they're super underappreciated because everyone keeps talking about how you want new IPs, new original of stuff. Focus is doing that. Focus is doing that. But yet, people only want to pay attention to, when you're going to bring out the, 10th version of stupid Resident Evil. Like, who cares?
Yeah. Well, I do think that you are going to see a return to that, around a 3-year dev cycle anyway, because AI is going to start writing some of the code. AI is going to start producing some of the assets. And as it gets better and better at it, you're going to see game time, at least production time, come way down. That's the reality. Whether or not people will like that, it's hard to say, right? Because we've already seen an outcry about that very concept in the industry. People are afraid they're going to lose their jobs. But I mean, I deal with that in my world, right? We're using more and more AI stuff, and it's a reality. It's the way the world's going. So if you can't beat them, join them. Learn how to use AI to make the work you do better. And we're going through that right now. Eventually I'll probably be replaced with a robot. I don't know, but it could happen.
Skynet is coming, people. Prepare yourself.
Yeah. I mean, IT's changing daily. Things are changing, right? I mean, we're doing AI correlations now on systems that would take 100 people hundreds of hours to accomplish, and it gets done in minutes. In my role, I want that. I need to know what's causing the problem faster and faster, because it costs us hundreds of thousands of dollars when there's an outage, right? I can't afford to have systems down. I need to know where the problem is yesterday, right? And that's what AI affords us. And it's going to do the same thing in the development industry. It's going to change the game a lot. It's going to be able to do the QA for them. It's going to find the bugs. We're going to get better games in the end. And I think that's, selfishly as a consumer, that's what we want.
Right.
It's going to allow more games to be made by a single studio. You don't have to fire all the people. You can make more games. You can take risks because now your production costs go down, right? Because you don't have to have people doing everything. So, there's advantages here that I think a lot of people are overlooking when it comes to AI entering the ball game and actually being able to do things faster and quicker and theoretically with less issues. Because as soon as you take the human element out of it, human error goes away. I automate absolutely everything I can. I've got my team working on all kinds of projects. We're working on a massive project right now that's going to automate so much work that it's insane. But it's, I think what people miss is that when you do that type of stuff, it makes your products better. They sell better. The people don't have to lose their jobs. That's my spiel anyway. I'm done. But I do think it's a good thing in the long run. There'll be some downsides to it, and initially there may be some job loss, but in the end you're going to see industry growth, and I think that's what you need to keep people employed.
Indeed. It's interesting, scary, and everything in between, let me tell you. So I'm sure it's going to be an advancement in a lot of areas, but there could be some drawbacks too. So we'll see how that goes over the next few years. Great chat, by the way, guys. You're awesome. I see Thimber hanging out with us in the chat. Good to see you here, my friend. Lots of awesome people here, guys. Hit that like, comment, subscribe if you're not already. Share the stuff out. Greatly appreciate it. Duke Torres, what's up, brother? Good to see you here. Saber Gunter. Well, anyway, let's move on to the next topic, I guess. Not much more to say here. Again, we just hope that most of these developers land on their feet. Real talent usually always finds a home at other places, but it still sucks. Every time I hear one closing down, especially ones that you can relate to, that have made some big games and stuff over the years, and then they have the closed doors. But it's been a tough industry. And there's a lot of pressure out there. There's a lot of pressure to come up with great game ideas. And, that's the thing. And it's always massively risky when you're doing a new IP in particular, because people don't know what to expect from it going in, and you have this kind of sell your game before you even put it out there, and it's not an easy thing. And if you don't have the publishers backing you 100% and giving you the money and the freedom to make your vision properly, but I think every game gets a good chance. Sometimes it's just finding the right release date. Sometimes it's finding the right platform or platforms. Callisto Protocol, which I'm playing right now, is a perfect example of that. A game that has gotten better over time. The devs did not give up on the game. They've improved it in a lot of ways. I'm playing it and loving the hell out of it. Didn't get amazing scores, but I think the game is fantastic. And I don't know if it's just because of when it released or a few different scenarios, but the game, obviously kind of came out and got brushed under the rug pretty quickly. And I got immediately concerned that, this could be another developer that comes out, didn't hit its target goals with the game, and, could end up getting shut down. Who knows? I mean, so far, I think they're still going, but, will we see a sequel to that game or whatever? Probably not. But we'll see. Anyway, we're going to bring up this article was brought to my attention by Coolcat Terri. We're going to bring this to the forefront. This could be an interesting little thing here. There you go. Xbox may offer free Xcloud streaming with ads. How do you guys feel about that? We all know how we feel about ads. Heck, we all get annoyed when we got to watch numerous ads during YouTube. But, hey, it comes bundled with the word free. And we all like a little bit of free stuff. I personally think it's a good idea. Let's see what the article itself has to say. Xbox Gaming CFO Tim Stewart suggests that Microsoft could offer free game streaming via the Xcloud to users who watch advertisements similar to mobile games. I definitely think that has potential, especially considering Xcloud is still relatively new and having a little bit of trouble taking off. And if they want, the portable side of the business perhaps to grow and get more people into it, I think it's definitely at least, a phenomenal way to at least get people dipping their toes into the ecosystem. We kind of saw even that a studio like Netflix decided to go with a tiered system where they offer Netflix at a reduced price if you're willing to watch a few ads. How do you both feel about this potential new development coming out here? Terri, maybe you want to chime in first since you brought the article to my attention.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to definitely depend on which markets they're going to be putting it towards. Is it just going to be xCloud, like for just like mobile gaming, or like where they going to prioritize it? Because if the mobile side, it would make sense because there's already free games with ads on that platform, so it would be an easy one that they could integrate, and there won't really be any fight back on it. You know what I mean? But I guess it's just depends on how they're going to do it. There's going to be plenty of people out there that would probably gladly do it because there are people that just can't afford to pay subscriptions to play games. You know what I mean? So as much as we hate ads, this is going to be for the people who can't afford Game Pass, even Core or whatever they want to have that they're changing stuff to. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people out there that can't afford that, especially when you start looking into other countries where most of the gamers out there just play on mobile because they can't do consoles. They can't afford the consoles. They don't have, good enough internet, in their little villages for that. So, but everybody has phones, so, you have to think on the larger scale, not just what North America wants, so I think if it's not something I would use, and I personally am not for it for my personal use because I don't need it, but I feel like this is a good thing for those that really could take advantage of it and get, it would be helpful to people who are less fortunate and can't afford to be like, do I want to spend $10 so I can play a game online this month, or do I want to, be able to buy milk and eggs so I can feed my kids this month? Right. You know what I mean? So
I'm not gonna get milk and eggs for $10. Wow.
Wow.
That's pretty good. But yeah, all joking aside, I completely agree with you.
Well, for someone like myself who might be changing my subscription to Game Pass back to the core level here because mine had just ran out. and I'm not thinking I'm going to get the ultimate. So this could be a great thing for someone like myself because this would give me the access to the Xcloud by just watching some ads. Because right now, the only way to get Xcloud through the subscription is to go with the ultimate, if I'm correct. So this could
You're
be a
right.
good thing for me who would continue to like to play some portable games or some of my Xbox games on the go. I did do that during my trip to Niagara Falls. I thought that was a really cool idea, and I certainly embrace it. And I have
So
I don't know if how many of you guys have the Tubi service, but I have that on my consoles Tubi, and I watch movies on it every once
yeah,
in a
there's a
while, and
couple
it's
ads.
come a long ways. It got some really good
Yeah,
movies on there, and for the fact you got to watch maybe what like 4 minutes of ads through the whole bit. It kind of feels like you're
it's
back
not
to the
bad.
old days of TV, but I don't think it's a terrible trade off to get it for nothing a month.
Yeah,
No.
you're not wrong. And I got a question. Like when you were playing,
Hmm.
when you're out east, was
Yeah.
there a wait for the game to launch, or did it
No,
just
no,
launch in
no,
right away?
no. Like I played Halo. Now I was at the again, and probably not the best game to play because I tried. What else did I try out there? But I was out there and I tried to get into Halo Infinite, and the problem was the control lag was really bad. I didn't
Right.
have the best connection, and the game booted up just fine. But as soon as I started to play, it was like I'm pressing left, and it would take like it would lag. So it
Uh,
would take me a long.
yeah.
I mean, if you're playing a shooter, you just can't have that. Now I
No.
played. Oh, it was Forza. I played Forza Motorsport, and that was much better. There was a little bit of like screen clipping or something like that every once in a while. And the resolution dropped a little bit at times, but it was definitely playable. Shooter was very tough because again, you definitely don't need input lag when you're playing a shooting game. So
Yeah.
again, that's going to vary from place to place, connection to connection. It was better in the airport than it was in the hotel I was at. So, it depends on where you are,
So
but I still think it's cool.
so the other night I launched other night maybe a couple weeks ago I launched Remnant 2 to just play it through the cloud to give it a try, see what it was like. And this was on my Series X. And it took 10 minutes. I had to wait in queue for me to be able to actually play. Now, to me, that's a deal breaker, right? Free or not, I'm not going to use
Hmm.
the service if I got to sit there for 10 minutes. In fact, that's why I quit. Like, I used to do that regularly, try games with Xcloud until all these queues started. Like, the one time it was like 15 minutes to wait to be able to play. And now I don't know if they changed their strategy. I don't know if they've pulled hardware out of data centers, but this all kind of started during the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and it hasn't seemed to fix itself. There was a time it was instant, right? You launch the game and it was just like, oh, okay, it's firing right up and away you go.
Hmm.
My experience hasn't been that way lately. I don't know if you've tried it since you've been home again. I'd be
No.
curious because you'd be pulling off the same data centers as me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, Coolcat, if you've tried it lately either. But I'm curious. Chat. Have you any of you guys tried XCloud lately? Do you have these wait times? Because I just find that's a deal breaker to me. It's not a good service if you got to sit there and wait,
Timothy
especially if they
Dixon in the
decide
chat
to.
just posted up there. I don't know if you saw that, but Timothy
Uh,
posted this.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So to me, like, what are they going to do? Play ads for those 10 minutes before I play, or what? Actually, that wouldn't be too bad because you can walk away and go get a drink and stuff, come back when the ads are over and just play games, I guess.
Right?
But if they're gonna throw the ads in the middle of a boss battle, that would be a problem, right? It breaks the flow. So I'd like to know what the strategy is and where they're going to put the ads in it in order for you to keep playing. If it's just at the end of a chapter or whatever, if you're playing a game like Alan Wake, right? Like you play through these chapters. If the ads go at the end of those, or if they go at the end of a
Hmm.
cutscene for a couple minutes, or the start of a cutscene, either way, it's going to break the immersion depending on the game. So nonetheless, I think it's great for compromises need to be made if you can't afford to pay the subscription costs. So it's kind of like YouTube, right? If you don't have YouTube Premium, you watch ads.
I get so many ads watching on my Fire Stick. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, I mean,
But
Yeah.
You know,
I broke down and got YouTube Premium. I couldn't stand the ads anymore, and I haven't. I've had it for, I don't know, 3-4 years, and every now and then I got to watch something on my work laptop, like some kind of a tech video that I got to watch, and I'm just like, why are there freaking ads? What? Oh yeah, I'm on my work laptop, right? So I usually email the link to myself and I watch it on my home PC, just because I can't stand the ads, but.
Yeah,
It's
Spotify, like I've been using the free version of Spotify for a very long time, but that was starting to get on my nerves because it used to be gradual, but now it's like more and more and more. Like the ads were not only like 30 seconds, but they're starting to go like a minute, minute and a half, and it's like the same regurgitated crap, basically trying to get you to subscribe to Spotify. So I'm like, yeah, guys are doing a good
right.
job because you're irritating people to the point that either they're going to get rid of you completely or they're going to subscribe. So it's one of the two.
Yeah.
So I did buy a subscription to Spotify for the $10 a month or whatever. I think it kicks in this month, which is great because I can
Yeah.
build my own playlist of songs and all that sort of shit. And then I don't have to listen to any ads, and I can forward as much as I want or back as much as I want, which is great when I want to listen to a song over and over again. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing we use it for is YouTube Music. That's where I use my music. It comes with it. But yeah, Timothy's pointing out the Brave browser, and yeah, I've thought about that as well. But we do use the music. My kids like having the music, so I'm getting that extra benefit there. But there are those alternatives. That's a really good point.
indeed. Anyway, I don't think it's necessarily like a bad idea. As someone said in the chat earlier, look, options are always good. You
Yep.
don't have to go that route. If you're paying for your Game Pass Ultimate, it's all included anyway. But for people that are on a budget, and it's not just about, like we've said this before. It's not just because you can't afford it per se, but if you think of a lot of people in this chat right now, start adding up how many subscription services you're on. This is what I've been talking about. It's like we
Yeah.
went from having a couple to now you're paying for your internet bill, then you're paying for Xbox Live, then you're paying for your PlayStation Plus, then you're paying for your WWE network, you're paying for your sports network, you're paying for your Netflix, you're paying for your Hulu, you're paying for your Spotify. So you start adding those up, and I think most of my friends, if I think about it, most of them now are starting to average 4 to 5 subscriptions a month. They're well into like the $60 territory. Some are well over 100. Like they're now paying more for each and every subscription than they ever paid for their cable. They used to bitch about cable. Oh, we got to pay for the cable bill. Now you're paying way more, and this is where I think this whole thing is soon going to start to fall apart, because all these subscription services are now fighting for your bucks, and people are going to start canceling them after a while. You're going to start coming down to, you're going to have to pick a couple that you really like, and everything else, I'm sorry, is not going to get your money.
I already did that years ago. I got rid of Disney, I got rid of Netflix, and I don't miss them.
See, there you go. And that's not what they want to hear from customers like you.
And I'm happy I got rid of them years ago, because since I dropped them, I think they raised their prices 10 times. So
that was the Netflix thing for me. I love Netflix, but the fact that they started gouging a price gouge every time they turn around and fart it, it's like they're making all this content, one that I had zero interest in and I didn't want to watch. It's like, I want to watch blockbuster movies. I don't want to watch your 450 made for Netflix TV shows with content I could give a shit about. I was like, I don't have enough time to watch them all, but you're going to charge me for it because you're obviously paying to make the content. I got to get charged for it. It's like, at some point, maybe you need different tiered systems because this is not working.
Yeah, like a movie only option or whatever, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, it is. It's a huge problem, and I'm right there with you. It's harder for me to cancel Disney and stuff though, because my kids are still young. They like watching that junk, right? And same with the Netflix and everything.
Dust off the old Blu-ray player, man.
Yeah, no, actually, it's funny you say that, because I just pulled the box out from since we moved and hauled it upstairs to put it on hook it up to the TV up there.
What is this contraption?
This is how you're gonna watch. This is how you're gonna watch Frozen all them over and over again. This is how you do it.
Mind you, then then there's my son that would probably end up throwing the discs around like frisbees, so it might be cheaper for me to keep the subscription by the time he wrecks all the discs. But yeah, I don't know. I'll get through this stage in life. Eventually, they'll be older, and if they want it, they can pay for it. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Look, it is what it is. It's your money, your time. Everybody has their reasoning. I've cut back. Like I said, I got Amazon Prime right now, and that's largely because not just to watch a few movies and shows that are on Amazon, but mostly because when you do Amazon Prime, you get like good deals on stuff. Plus, you also get like 2-day delivery on shit as well that you don't have to pay for, which I think is a bonus because I order quite a bit of shit from Amazon. So I'm like, it's kind of a bonus, and I get to watch movies and shows too. Cool. So there's some good stuff on there, but that's why I went with Amazon over Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's actually Amazon's come a long way. It was pretty crappy in the beginning, but yeah, they got some good content on there now. It's quite decent. I get Apple TV or whatever the heck it is for basically for free with my daughter's cell phone bill. So I've been, I've got that one. It actually has some decent shows on it too. It's not too bad, but it's, few and far between, I guess, still compared to some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, gotcha. Alrighty, well, we're pretty much almost pretty much at the end of the topics. I don't know if you do want to jump into, I guess, the fact. Well, we'll touch on it briefly, I guess, before we bring in some of our co-panel members. Get your questions ready for Arnold, Safehouse, Cletus, or Handy Andy. They are all on standby, so get your questions ready. But real quickly, it looks like Insomniac Games has been hacked, and they're holding them ransom, so to speak, for on information regarding Wolverine. This kind of came as a bit of a shocker. Yeah, hackers somehow got into their back end, have got information to like emails and all sorts of crazy stuff, and know about content to the game. So essentially, they could come out and spoil parts of the game, including characters that will make an appearance, so on and so forth. We've seen this before, but it's been a while. How does that make you guys feel? Any word on that?
Disappointing. I wonder if they're on the Sony network, because Sony's been having trouble with that stuff historically. But yeah, it's kind of surprising in some respects, but I'll be honest, being in the industry, there's definitely countermeasures and things you can put in place. But if someone's determined enough, it's tough to keep them out. It does take a dedicated team to provide that security. I wonder, if they're not under Sony's umbrella with that. I would think they would be, though. Because it's an expensive endeavor. I mean, we spend, I can't even say, like, untold millions probably on security. It's crazy, right? I mean, we have dedicated teams that are, looking at every single possible threat. They're constantly monitoring for 0-day threats, and it's an ongoing battle that never ends. And so far so good, but it's understandable how this stuff can happen. It's a harsh world out there when it comes to this, and hackers that are determined. It's any little thing, you miss one thing, and that's all they need.
Yeah, I just don't know what to help the leverage from this unless they know enough about the game. They're just trying to get some money out of it. I'm sure there's going to be something to it. Studio is said to be currently dealing with a ransomware attack from a hacking group called Residia. The group is claiming to have details about Insomniac's upcoming game, Marvel's Wolverine, as well as personal data, documents, internal emails, passports, etc., from former and current employees at the studio, including Peter Parker voice actor Yuri Lowenthal. So definitely, Residia has reportedly already gotten an auction for the data setup at a starting price of 50 Bitcoin, or around $2 million. It is told that Insomniac has 7 days to respond. Yikes.
Yeah, it's the personal data aspect of it that really bothers me. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they have for back-end encryption, how their systems are configured and stuff, but, I know a little bit about what goes into trying to protect that end user data. And it's a massive investment to do it right. And yeah, that's disappointing that they'd be able to get that out of their back end. That's disappointing, especially when you got like the voice actor, like Peter Parker voice actor, stuff like that. It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
No, and Sony said, I mean, this is an Insomniac thing, but it's still under the Sony umbrella, and they've had a lot of attacks over the last few years, some notorious ones. I mean, one that did detrimental damage to their business years ago. Remember that when they shut everything down from Sony?
Yeah, they were shut down for a month.
Shut down for a month. People couldn't play online. It was during the Christmas season. I'll never forget it because people were furious. They couldn't play their PlayStation, couldn't jump online, and they had a lot of account informations hacked. And my God, what is going on?
PlayStation was still my primary console environment at that point when that happened. I was not a happy guy. Yeah, it was disappointing to say the least. They gave me 2 games though, 2 indie games.
Yeah.
They weren't very good.
You didn't get a bill for them later on, did you?
No, but and they also gave everybody that was on the system. They gave us a free year from a identity protection outfit that monitored your identity for free to alert you if they saw any suspicious activity.
Wait a minute, they got hacked and had bad security, so their response was, "Hey, we're going to give you free security."
More or less, yeah. More or less. Here we'll help you out by
we're good. Here we can't help
monitoring
ourselves,
your.
We'll help you.
Yeah, that sounds like the PCs nowadays. Every time you get rid of Norton antivirus, you got more friggin' viruses you can shake a stick at. I'm like, come on, man! Like this is crap. Those friggin' Norton antivirus shit just embed your computer with shit. I swear by it. I really do. Like. The more you try to get rid of them, it's like, oh, well, all of a sudden now I just delete you 5 seconds ago and I got 40 viruses waiting to go. Like, come on, how does that happen? I generally get rid of them, try to wipe them clean. I use just the Microsoft Windows Defender, and it usually gets the job done just fine.
Yeah, that's all I use. I haven't, knock on wood, I've never had a computer virus, but, I'm intimately aware with the tactics that are used to put those things on your system. So I'm also very careful, and I don't download anything that, might be nefarious in nature on my primary system. I use a virtual machine that I can just delete that machine and it's gone. And for that matter, the only time I've had a virus was when I did it on purpose because I had a client that had that virus and I needed to figure out how to clean it. So I downloaded it into a virtual environment, ran it, figured out how to get rid of it, and then I was able to clean my client's computer. So
hint of advice, if you plan to watch a lot of porn, do it on a Chromebook that you don't really care about the account. That's kind of that's the lesson of the day. Do it on a PC or a Chromebook somewhere that you can give a shit about if it crashes.
Yeah.
Don't use your personal invite. All right.
Yeah, virtual machines are great if you're not sure about something, and because you can just take a snapshot of it and then just restore it back to that state if it gets infected, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I love how when you get on porn nowadays, and then like a day later you go back to the site and they're like, "All these single girls in Edmonton waiting to fuck your brains out."
Gotta wonder what they're putting on your machine, Noof. Gotta wonder.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh man. Anyway, we hope they clear that up and nothing nefarious comes of it. Hopefully they can track it down, perhaps counter block or do whatever the hell it is they got to do here. But still, everybody's telling you, why are you guys all assuming I'm on the sketchy sites? Everybody in the chat's like, stay off them sites, Noof.
Yeah. Hey, you brought that up.
That is true. I did bring it up. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my. Shit.
I can only imagine anyway, what you'd be finding on Noof's PC. That's probably what wrecked your old one. That's why it didn't work anymore. It's all bogged down with malware.
Damn you, Pornhub.
That'll teach you.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys had any questions for obviously any of the characters? Arnold, Cletus, Safehouse, or Handy Andy? They're on standby. We won't keep you guys much longer. We're already nearly at the 2-hour marker. I think 7:30, 8:30. Yeah, so we're getting close to 2 hours. So yeah, we're a little bit over time, but this was a good show. We had a few topics, so go ahead. knock out some questions. If not, well, I just had to bring in one of the guys to talk about stuff, I guess. Anybody questions?
One of the guys can give their
panel or
opinion.
Chat, who's got a question? I know you guys always got a question. Usually Jesse Darby's here with a question for Cletus. No?
Anyone?
No questions?
It's looking pretty chill.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to bring in somebody here for 1 second. So anyway, let's see here.
I can kill a minute or two for you talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro rumors. Anyone in chat got any questions about that? I'd give my opinion.
I think Safe House, you wanted to talk about that, didn't you? Say, Safe House. Oh, there you go. You got a question for Safe House. Safe House wants to talk about that, and he wants to talk about PlayStation 5 Pro.
All right.
Right, Safe House?
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, the Safe House, Sam in the building, baby. Yeah, what is going on, baby? Yeah, you bunch of cock asses. Let me tell you this. First of all, what is my game of the year? My game of the year. I don't think any of you probably played it before, but I'm pretty sure it's on VR and it's in porn. I mean, it's got to be. That's the only thing I like to play with. Yeah, it gets me up and down every morning. Let me tell you, yes, sir. The rocking chair pubic hair, baby. Let's go. No, never mind. Actually, no, in all honesty, I think my game of the year this year, honestly, I'm going to probably have to say my game of the year is probably the same one it's been for the last couple of years, and that's going to be that Minecraft game. I know that sounds all funny, y'all, but I like playing with my blocks. I like building shit, knocking it down. That's why I love me some Minecraft. It looked like shit, but it played really good. You know what I'm saying? You can play with your kids. You can play by yourself. You know, make all sorts of stuff, you know, and I going around with a pickaxe, knocking shit down, and then blowing up all them little green fuckers that comes out of you, man. That's what I'm talking about. So that's the only game I need to play, that Minecraft. It looked terrible, but I like it, you know what I'm saying? But look, I got to talk about that PlayStation 5 Pro fucking sandwich maker. What? You guys only brought fucking console out, what, 3 years ago? 3 years ago. Think about that. And you're already making a pro. Why you got to make it a pro? Are you trying to say that the PlayStation 5 is like an amateur? And you got to go up and make a pro version. And I was looking at some of your stats already, and they don't look very fucking fancy. What you going to do now, brag about your bragging? You're going to have a couple more teraflops, just so you can say you got a bragging right over the Series X, right? But look, at the end of the day, you can only make Kratos so fucking good looking. You can only make his head bald, fucking greasy ass, white ass head so fucking good looking. You know what I'm saying? Like, honest to God. Now, so I don't understand why you guys go spend all that money and chipping all your fans on another piece of plastic that don't do shittily squat. I bought the fucking, what do you call it, the PlayStation 4 Pro. That thing looked like a grilled cheese sandwich maker. I thought George Foreman licensed that motherfucker, and it didn't shit all. The only thing that thing could play in 4K was fucking indie games. If it could barely do that, honest to God, that thing had all this power. We can do 4K. You can barely do Pac-Man in 4K. That thing was a load of shit. It was. You know what you could do with that thing? Is stick it next to your asshole when you was cold in the wintertime, because that shit would heat stuff up. That's about it.
Oh, it was a beast, that's for sure, when it comes to noise.
Bloody it was things a beast, were loud. All right. It was obese. That's what that thing was.
Safe House, what are you getting your old lady for Christmas? Doggy Dog wants to know.
I'm going to get my wife a strap-on dildo for a mouth, because it's the only time I'm going to get her to fucking shut the fuck up. That's how I'm going to get her. She's going to be ball gagging up and down in Christmas up, mother cock asses. That's it. Ball gagging.
I don't know if Handy Andy's around tonight, but Iceman had a question. Andy, what's your most anticipated game of 2024?
I just wanted to add, you know what happens when I go to Christmas parties? I hang out on the stairs, and I lie down on the stairs waiting for girls to come down with their tight pants on, because as they say, you're supposed to kiss them under the camel toe, right? Is that right?
I think that's mistletoe, Safe House.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Is that what that was? Kind of. No wonder all the ladies kept slapping my ass.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's all they did. Oh, my.
What was the other question?
Well, There was one for Handy Andy about what's his most anticipated game of 2024.
Oh, all right. Gotta make room. Handy Andy's gotta come in here. Here we go. Ooh. Whoop. Whoop. Whoop.
Yeah. PS5 Pro. Actually, the biggest thing on the PS5 Pro will be the 4.4 gigahertz on the CPU. If that's true, expect a lot more 60 FPS games.
I'm sorry, guys. I was just finished taking a shit. And that's good because Noof's hand is up my ass right now. You gotta have shitty fingers, Noof. Anyway, what was that question? My most anticipated game?
Yeah, for 2024.
Actually, it's kind of a tie because both of them have. Well, one's got a half decent looking kind of Viking style girl in it, and the other one's got like a Japanese chick with fucking fantastic ass. So one is called Hellblade, and the other one's called Stellar Blade. There seems to be a connection with games that got Blade, got it laid.
Oh,
got it laid
and
with Blade,
there was a
Stellar
game
Blade,
announcement.
and
Blade.
Hellblade. Hellblade too. So you got that, was it Melina Juergens? Let me tell you, she's so hot, the only thing I've been using Juergens on. Ooh, friction for the Dixon, baby. Stellar Blade, that looks good. You guys seen it? It's supposed to come out for PlayStation. It's got a girl. She looks like she's wearing like a really tight spacesuit, and she's got this fantastically shiny, well-rendered ass. And I'm pretty sure that's why PlayStation signed it as exclusive. It's an ass-clusive.
Yeah, for some reason that one's not ringing a bell for me. Do you remember that
What?
one, Coolcat?
Yeah,
I don't know why. I know the name.
Look at Stellar Blade. Yeah, it was supposed to come out on Xbox, but then PlayStation went and dumped a whole bunch of cash over at PlayStation to say they're gonna keep it on that fucking Xbox because these guys, they don't need another awesome game with sexy ass girls in it. No, they got Fable with that fucking that fucking weird looking chick that looks like she bakes rocks for a living.
Bakes rocks. That's a new one.
Yeah,
what did you think of the Blade announcement, though?
Oh, that's it. What it's just a trifecta. The 3 games all got Blade in it. I'm excited for it all. We got 2 with chicks and 1 guy with a fucking black vampire hunter dude. I remember watching the movies and what's his name? Wesley Sneaks.
Close. Snipes.
Snipes. He Snipes.
Yeah.
Oh, Wesley. Yeah, I remember him. He was in White Man Can't Jump. Well, White Men Can't Hump either.
White Men Can't Jump. Jump,
yeah,
Andy.
He was
it's
back
jump.
in that. It's like a really old movie that I shouldn't have even seen, but somebody introduced me some of those old classics, and it was so good.
Yeah, you must have been like what, 2 years old when that came out.
Oh, I wasn't even a sperm cell at that point. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm not really that old right now, but you had even had Woody Harrelson in it. Woody Harrelson's been able to, between him and Samuel L. Jackson, they've been in more movies than I think John Holmes has been in vaginas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
John Holmes.
Right on.
Anybody doesn't know who John Holmes is, you should look him up. Yeah, he has a long resume.
Yeah, I think Andy John's right. You're too young to play all these new games that are coming. All the Blade games are
they get me
outside
really
of your age range.
Like they rub my hands a little bit faster.
Yeah. There's a question for Arnold. I don't know, Andy. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm good. Right now, I'm getting a little bit wet over here thinking about all those games. They got really sexy girls and they all in a Blade. So I'm gonna go now. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. See ya.
Bye.
Sorry, Coolcat Terri. I know I'm a little bit of a pervert. Show us your tits. Never mind. See you later, guys. You're awesome. Thank you.
Andy. If Arnold's around, hey Arnie, if you got asked to do the voice of Blade, would you do it?
Well, I would think that would be very, very crazy if I had to go out and do the voice of Blade. I know, would you any of you want to hear me being out here like, hey, vampire head, come over here. We're going to take a bite of the crime. We are going to slash your profits in half. We are going to stay up late, and we're going to be great. awesome stuff here, but I don't think Blade is not really for me. This for another actor, and I don't want to come in here and be the muscle bound the white dude that's gonna take up a role for somebody else. I've got my own shit to do. I've been on the Terminator. I've been all that other stuff. So yeah, no, I'm good where I am. We're gonna leave that role to either Wesley Snipes or what's the other guy, Marshala Ali or whatever he's supposed to play in the new movie. And I'm sure that the game is going to be fantastic. Arcane is behind it, and I have good hopes for it.
Well, that's very big of you to pass on that. I think he'd make a great sidekick and well, maybe partner in Blade. I'd like to see Arnold running around killing vampires. That'd be pretty cool.
We got another super chat coming in from our good friend Emmanuel A1. Haven't seen him in the chat for a while.
Laughing my ass off. You're the man, Noof. Woo!
Thanks, Emmanuel. Conan Blade. Yeah, I saw a picture for, I guess, Conan the King the other day, which is going to be interesting. He actually has a big beard. He kind of looks more like Zeus than Conan, but yeah. Arnold going to be around in 2027, though. Hope so. Yeah, you never know. He's still clicking right now. So, anyway, everybody, that's been a fun.
He's got that show out, Fubar. I think that's on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway.
Andy, does Kojima want Jeff's hand up his ass? I think he already got it well up his ass. Yes, it's like the puppet show. Anyway, everybody, it's been a phenomenal show. Thank you so much for your love and support. Chat is amazing as always. Again, thanks for coming out and being a part of episode 24. We'll be back again next week, same time, same place. Hopefully, Terry will be able to join us, pending on her work availability. But she's been here now for 2 weeks in a row. We're happy to have her. And hopefully, Mental gets all of his computer issues solved before he absolutely goes mental. Looks like he's just about at the breaking point right now. So hopefully, thanks, Doggy Dog. You were the man. So anyway, let everybody get out of here. Coolcat Terri, let people know where they can catch up with you on your next podcast or whatever else you got going on.
All right, yeah, you can go ahead and you can check me out over on the Iconic Video Games channel for Good Morning Xbox Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern. Everything Xbox. So if you guys are into that, go check that stuff out. Axel does a great job. And otherwise, I'm on social media. You can go find me over on Twitter, Coolcat_Terri, or everywhere else as Coolcat Terri, like you see it here. I also have YouTube, which is like you see it here, and I have a secondary channel, which is all automotive. So for those of you that like, car stuff, go check out Coolcat's Alley, and you can see me working on my BMW Z3. Good stuff.
Awesome. All right. And Mental, how about yourself? Where can they catch up with you and the always caffeinated caffeine entertainment?
Mental 9R pretty much everywhere except for YouTube. That's where I'm Caffeine Entertainment. But yeah, Twitter and Steam and PlayStation and Xbox, Mental 9R, and that's where you'll find me. When I'm actually back online and my PC's working. But yeah, That's it, man. I've wrapped up Alan Wake, and I'm going to be moving on to something else. Haven't figured out quite what that is yet, but...
Yeah, and just looking at the calendar here, we've legitimately got one more show pre-Christmas. The next one after that would tentatively be set for the 26th, which up here in Canada is called Boxing Day. I'm not sure the availability of my panel for that particular show, so we have to sort it out amongst ourselves. So the 19th may be the last show for 2023 till we come back on the 2nd of January into the new year. But I got to decide that with the panel. I don't want to, take up their holidays for any means to talk about gaming. So next week will probably be our Christmas edition. Where we'll talk about some of our favorite memories, favorite, holiday feel-good games and all that good stuff. And it should be a great time next week. So, but until then, we'll figure it out. We'll let you know how things are going to roll by the time we come back next Tuesday. So. Otherwise, you guys know where to find me on this channel only, pretty much, unless I'm guesting on somebody else's channel. And you can always catch me and interact on Twitter. I love the conversation. I love the feedback. Let us know as well what you've liked about the show in 2023. And let us know how you'd like us to improve, perhaps in 2024. I feel like this show has a lot of potential. We still haven't really hit our ceiling. But we won't get there without your help and support. A lot of you guys have been with us since day one, and this is 24 episodes in. And I love where we're heading. I love where we've been. Dreadpool, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you. But again, what do you want to see more from us or less of? That sort of thing. And hopefully just keep this rolling. But anyway, back next Tuesday on the 19th. Until then, everybody, have yourself a great evening, great day, great morning, wherever you are. And don't forget, tell your friends, and you can always catch up and watch us on the replay. To those of you who do catch it on the replay, thank you so much for your support. Please hit the like and share a comment or two, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Cheers.